Marc Raimondi here for SB Nation's Cage Side Seats in New Orleans. It's WrestleMania week. I'm here with Pete Sweeney. We're going to talk some WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, what we've done so far this week, and what is to come later on in the weekend. Pete, how's your time in New Orleans going so far?
You know, so far so good. It's warmer. I'm based out of Kansas City. It's certainly warmer than Kansas City, so that's a great thing, and I'm really enjoying the time. There's just been a lot of different events, and that's the vibe I get. It almost is the Super Bowl of wrestling, and even the locals will tell you, it brings a lot of money to the area, so it's been good vibes so far.
Are you tired yet?
I am so tired. I think I'm running on about 3 hours of sleep and 5 cups of coffee, but you know what? We're only at Friday night right now. We got a long weekend to go, so maybe with some more coffee it might be in order.
The Hall of Fame ceremony just wrapped up at Smoothie King Center, just a few blocks from where we are here in New Orleans. Goldberg was the big headliner. We were there for the whole ceremony. Any big takeaways? Mark Henry obviously got inducted to the Dudley Boys. Any big takeaways from the night?
You know, the thing for me is I've been to a lot of wrestling events, whether it be local, WWE, back in the day, WCW. I know my cousins, I never got to go to ECW. They went to a ton of ECW events. But the thing that stuck out to me about the Hall of Fame that was different was that it seemed like, okay, the WWE is in their own little bubble. It's a celebration of the year. It's a celebration of the old superstars. And you could see all the superstars of today sitting and watching and looking at, these people that they look up to. And it was an interesting event because you're almost kind of creeping in and like getting a look at an inner party. And I thought that was a very unique aspect to the WWE Hall of Fame.
A lot of inside jokes and a lot of inside stuff being told in those speeches, right?
Yeah, and you could tell that a lot of the wrestlers even sitting there probably didn't know some of these stories. So it's just like a peek into maybe their world a little bit. It almost has that Golden Globes feel, and that's how I would describe it.
What do you think was the highlight? Any highlights of the night?
I think the big three, Jeff Jarrett was really good. Mark Henry, everyone was looking forward to Bill Goldberg. Paul Heyman introduced Goldberg to the stage. They gave the Warrior Award out to JJ, the New Orleans local who had a liver transplant. He was really energetic. I thought that was a really fun moment. So, yeah, I think there were a lot of, highlights. Of course, a lot of people go along with their speeches. I think sometimes there's a little bit of lull at these type of events because Vince McMahon is not going to cut anyone off in their once-in-a-lifetime experience, but just a lot of good moments all night.
Dudley Boys put a poor producer through a table, it seemed like.
Right, that kicked off the night. They started with the bang, as WWE likes to do, the Dudley Boys, and it was really well played because it did really seem like Vince McMahon was playing the Dudleys off. They get a little angry, and then you see this producer, and I think everyone knew at that point what was about to happen. Producer right through the table, probably the height of you and I. We're 5'6", 5'9". Little guy smashed right through a table, and that kicked off the night with a bang.
Hey, Spike could do it. Anyone could do it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Let's move on a little bit. Actually, I do want to ask you one more thing about the Hall of Fame. You mentioned that some of the speeches did go a little bit long, but it's a situation where it's like, yeah, as the viewer, maybe it can drag on a little bit, but who can take away the time from these people who very much have earned it, right?
Yeah, no, you know what? Hillbilly Jim stuck out, and he may not mean a ton more so to people our age, but the older generation, they loved Hillbilly Jim, and they wanted to hear his full story. And it was funny with him. He said, I'm going to keep this short and sweet, and then I think he went on for about 30, 40 minutes, and one was one of the longer speeches of the night. But yeah, listen, this is their one time. Ivory was another inductee tonight, and she compared it to her wedding because she's not married, and her whole speech was how, this is almost the wedding of her life. So when it's that type of moment, Vince McMahon owes so much to these wrestlers, he's not going to cut anyone off.
You got a chance earlier this morning to go to JR's show, Jim Ross. What was that like? What was your experience with that?
It was a Q&A, and the thing that sticks out about JR is that he was willing to spend 3 to 4 minutes with each person. He was, as long as you wanted to talk to him, he would, and he did all that before he had the Q&A session. And Q&A session was great. He was taking any and all questions. Did the Q&A for an hour or two, and just. The thing about it is when you get these guys in a small room and people are interested, in them, they want to spend time and answer each and every question. He did that. One question that I had on my mind is, I kind of think the commentary nowadays is a little oversaturated. They're trying to get a lot in all the time on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So I said, what have you made of the evolution of commentary? And he said, Pete, because he asked everyone their name, because Pete, you have to understand, these commentators today, they have a list of things to say. back in the day, there was no Twitter, no social media, so he had only so much. He would react in emotion, and it just was a really well thought out answer, and it's something obviously he didn't know because I came up with that question today. So just, really well prepared, really willing to answer each and every question.
You also went to Paul Heyman's show. I believe that was last night. What was that like, and what did you get out of that?
Jim Ross and Paul Heyman, the characters are very different, but they were very similar in their approach. A little bit more rugged, willing to curse, make some of these jokes that you wouldn't necessarily say around children. Paul Heyman especially, F-bombs left and right, but just so honest. He said at the beginning of the night, I'll answer everything you want to know except anything to do with my kids. And I think that's the right way to go about it. Had a couple surprise guests. JR introduced him initially, and then Rob Van Dam came out. So Paul Heyman, ever full of surprises.
Very cool. There was also a great match, I think, today between Matt Riddle and Will Ospreay at the WWN Super Show that just wrapped up not too long ago. And I think right now it's about midnight on Thursday, or I guess Friday morning. What day are we? Are we in Saturday? I'm losing track.
Every day is Tuesday in New Orleans.
Exactly, good point. Whatever day it is, Joey Janela's spring break, I believe, is going on right now, too, so that should be a crazy show. There's no shortage of things to do right now. Just want to look ahead a little bit, Pete, and we'll let you go, and we'll run and get back to work, really. This weekend, tomorrow is Ring of Honor and NXT, Sundays, WrestleMania. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to?
NXT, obviously, every WrestleMania weekend, they seem to put on a fantastic show. So seeing some of these younger guys, what they're able to do. And then WrestleMania Sunday, I think this is what everyone comes down to New Orleans during this weekend is looking forward to. What is finally going to happen? We've been talking about it for a year. How are they going to approach these matches? How are they going to end? What's it going to lead to in the new wrestling year? And I think you'll get to find out that answer finally after a year's build on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that.
Is there one match you're most looking forward to this weekend?
I love the Battle Royals. I'm kind of a Battle Royal mark, and that's on the pre-show, so that doesn't really count. But I mentioned on my podcast, which is affiliated with Cage Side Seats, the Fourth Wall podcast, I'm really excited for the Intercontinental match between The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. I think that has a sneaky chance to steal the show because I think these guys really care about what they do. So I'm interested in the storytelling of that. And, it's a pretty good card, so it should be a good Sunday.
Well, that's all for us right now. Stay tuned to Cage Side Seats the rest of the weekend for all the stuff that Pete talked about and a whole lot more, too, coming up as the days go on here in New Orleans. Stay posted.